connect with people on various levels, and this is one thing that I really like about social media. I find about 80,000 things about it that terrify me on a daily basis, but this one thing I do like is that it allows you to connect with someone one-on-one, and once in a while somebody can write me and ask me about something that I've experienced, and then I find that it's a duty or a responsibility of mine to kind of really be honest with them. And you know, I find that in social media the problem is, you know, you're always seeing like the best of someone's life, you know, and it's just not that way. You know, you're not. It's a misconception. You know, your life is all kinds of colors all the time, and people are afraid to kind of show that, I guess. And so I just thought, you know, it would help me deal with things when I feel like that if I'm honest about it all the time, and I just accept that. And as a result, I guess, like, people connect that way, and I'm happy, you know. But I'm not a, you know, it's scary at the same time, because I'm by far definitely not a perfect person, and I make a lot of mistakes myself, and so I do let people down, you know, once in a while. So, but we're all human, right? So it's just, as long as we can kind of keep repeating that, and, you know, if I can do that, it's okay, I guess. I don't know, I'm definitely not a perfect person, and I certainly haven't seen one perfect person, you know, or character. And so it's just, I find that it's more interesting to try to get behind and understand why certain people do certain things. I mean, it's just, you have to kind of be a detective that way a little bit. I keep trying to find the very good and boring part, but yeah, that's it. That very good point. What she's referring to is that I have the resting face of a murderer. that when I'm just generally, you know, enjoying like a very simple day in the world, it looks like I'm really upset, but I'm not.
All through this movie, it's can be characterized as a drama. It's also
comedy, yeah.
A dark comedy. It has also this funny part. How was it for you to mix all this?
Yeah, well, that's a good question, because the director was a big fan of the Coen brothers, and he liked those movies, sort of like Fargo was a big inspiration to him, and The Big Lebowski, and I think the thing about Fargo that's, you know, we've seen in those movies is it's that shock situation where you see certain characters do these things that are despicable, but they're so out of control when they do it. You know, there's something about that seems disturbing and yet slightly comical, and so that was the tone. But we had to be careful here, because if we had too much violence, then it would have alienated the audience too much, and then if it was, you know, too funny, and then it would, you know, we would have spilled into more of like a Will Ferrell movie, and we couldn't have done that either. So every scene was kind of, that's really on the director, because, you know, he's sitting there watching everything objectively. So it was great. I mean, she definitely punched me in the face a few times, which I was okay with, because, you know, she could do that when she wants to. It was, you know, I needed someone who I can really trust. We needed to trust each other, and we never took the material lightly, but at the same time we had to kind of look at each other from time to time and go, okay, like, we're making a movie, we're not making a documentary based on these real people. This is crazy, and we can give ourselves maybe a 30-second laugh about it. You know, I mean, there was a scene, you know, where the cop pulls us over, and she's sitting in the car next to me, and, you know, after with the gun scene, and she was bloodied and fake blood, and then we were waiting to shoot, and it was 3 a.m. and I took a lot of coffee because I really wanted to be, you know, to appear nervous or whatever, and so I was sitting there like my hand is shaking, and I'm looking at her, and she's in fake blood, and she looked at me and she goes, "What the hell are we doing? Why is this our lives?" You know, but you have to kind of have at the end of the day, because you got to go home, right? So you got to go home and then greet the rest of the world. You know, sort of, you get, there's a lot of great adrenaline and energy that happens with this, which is super fun, and then you go home at night and you kind of, you have, you know, you get done at 7:30, 8 p.m., let's say, and then you got to be up again by 5, 6 the next morning, so, you know, you got to get your sleep, you got to immediately you try to shut down, and it doesn't always work out that easily. But you know, as long as you're happy getting up the next day doing what you're doing, it's always going to be better.
After all, what did you take away from this experience?
I mean, well, on a personal level, for me, it really changed in terms of, it changed the way I was, I think now when I look at material and the things I want to do and the things I really want to find characters that are continuing to be challenging and that scare me, that require certain things I haven't been able to do before. I always think I'm just going to, eventually you're going to just realize I'm just a fraud. Like everyone else in this business, not really, but you know, you kind of want to try and do something different each time, and I think you have to look for the right kind of people to work with, and it really comes down to the directors, you know, and obviously you guys have incredible directors here. I mean, like the man himself, Mr. Christian Munju. But it's their medium, it's their world, you know. It's so. At the end of the day, you got to hand it over to them to tell the story, and I feel like you are better when you're dealing with somebody who's really capable and talented and knows what they're doing.